Welcome to Printing Expo Online.
Hello everybody and a very warm welcome. My name is Morten Reitoft and normally I have the role as an editor of Inkish TV, but today I'm your host here at the Industry Speaks and it's a great pleasure to host this amazing event. For the next 3 hours I can promise you a very exciting program with a lot of interesting speakers and companies and case studies and all the things that you really would like to dig into in order to get stories that will bring your life maybe a little bit forward. I want to thank Printing Expo Online and of course the sponsors for making this show possible. And also just a little bit of housekeeping just so you know about things here. When we have a session and it typically ends with a little slide where you can basically go directly to the expo and see and visit the booth of the person that has just been interviewed. It will bring you back after typical breaks of 2 to 5 minutes. So the links are important to do. Another thing that is also very important is of course that we have the opportunity to take questions during the session. So please use the opportunity of the platform to raise questions so we can answer these afterwards. And now we are at it. So the first session here will be with Phil Oakley from Kornit. So welcome, Phil. Just very briefly, who are you?
Thank you, Morten. And really exciting to be here in this virtual exhibition. It's amazing. My name's Phil Oakley. As you said, I'm the director of Kornit's business in the UK.
Fantastic. We're going to talk a lot more about Kornit and what you do in a moment, but you have prepared a video, so let's see that first, right?
Thank you.
Wonderful video, and I was just about to say that now the fun is going to start, Phil. Are you nervous?
A little bit.
A little bit, you shouldn't be. One of the things I would like to ask you just to get started, because I mean a lot of people probably know Kornit already, but why don't you bring us a little bit up to speed? What is Kornit?
It's changed so much, and as you saw from the video, the environmental aspects are very, very important to us all. Kornit's just over 20 years old, 22 years old this year, I think, and we're an industrial textile printing company that effectively worked out how do we streamline production and very much focusing on demand onshore production as an alternative to what we've all lived through for the last 4, 5, 6 decades, maybe even longer, of offshore volume production, which worked for the planet for a long time, but now it's how do we make that more sustainable. So we're very much about transforming a textile industry that is one of the last industries to go digital. Still, more than 90% of the world textile production is analog.
We're going to talk more about that in a second, and just to underscore it, I would just say that so Kornit is of course very involved in the textile industry, but you basically develop printing technology. You produce machines and consumables that enable digital printing on textiles, right?
Yeah, we first kind of painted a technology that really streamlined production, which is a wet-on-wet process. Before that, it was a wet-on-dry process, which then had several different steps, and there's a lot of that still happens today. And those steps are heating and cooling, and therefore, from a sustainability angle, you're adding more steps into the process and more heat and more water. So ours is a patented single-step process across a direct-to-garment technology and a direct-to-fabric technology. So direct onto a finished garment, which is a significant part of the business, and direct-to-fabric, which is a business that's going to transform the whole textile business.
As you said, it seems that the textiles and the garment business has been like very slow at adapting to, let's say, a digital reality. Now we're sitting in a digital environment. It's kind of funny to think of, because you are a very dominant player in the digital transformation of the textile market. I was just thinking that if you look at the printing of textiles, I think that from a technical perspective, there's been speed, there's been the cost, that has been like some of the limiting factors in getting ahead of the analog curve, so to speak. But what has changed?
You make a really interesting point, because in any print industry, certainly production print industry, you look at 3 key points of a value proposition, right? Speed, cost, quality. And achieving those things are the basics of what any commercial printer wants. And that's where I think we keep raising the bar. So we've now got a technology that is a retail, fashion, high street ready quality with a minimum order quantity of 1. So in the apparel industry today, to get the quality and the cost, a lot of the brands and retailers have to go and commit to significant volumes. So what's changed recently is that last year we launched the Max technology. And that Max technology now fits across our direct-to-garment for cottons as well as polyesters, and also in direct-to-fabric, which can cut across every different type of fabric you can think of, synthetics and naturals.
So that basically, so when we talk about the 3, let's say,
points of value, right?
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah. So when you talk about those, I would say that it seems that Kornit has been able to kind of innovate your way through those 3 different areas in order to make sure that you can get more. I remember I visited Kornit in Israel, I think it's 4 or 5 years ago, and I remember that was a time where you were so proud, because you have made the bonding agent was now also soft, because in the beginning it was a little bit hard on the textile. So the quality, when you look at textile, will you be able as a consumer to see and feel the difference today?
I think we now replicate what our customers felt like they wanted for years. So if you think of a screen print process on a garment, that there's a hand feel, there's a certain feel that is so familiar that everybody wants. We can easily give that hand feel, but we can go better. So we can do that by using probably up to in excess of 60-70% less water, emissions and CO2 gas.
So you achieve a similar result?
I would say a better result, because we're using less we need to do less volume
Yeah.
on that, right? So quality is paramount. Quality comes first for a customer.
Yeah. So you achieve better quality, scale of economy, and a way more sustainable. I mean, you told me yesterday when we had dinner that it is an amazing.
It's crazy, right?
It is
You
just
almost
like.
can't believe some of the figures. I mean, some of the figures are just. I got one T-shirt to manufacture one T-shirt, not just to print one T-shirt. Takes the same amount of water that you and I would drink in a year.
So we should drink more beers.
We should drink more beers, definitely. Yeah.
Fantastic, and that basically means, because you also mentioned that just in the UK, average consumers consume about 500 million T-shirts, right?
Correct. That's so it's if every member of the population, which seems kind of inconceivable, had around about 8 T-shirts. We consume 500 million T-shirts a year.
Yeah.
Only around about 7% of those are printed digitally.
Yeah. So would you say that when Kornit is continue developing technologies in this market, it is also because, I mean, from a financial perspective, it must be a fantastic business opportunity, right?
It is, because but it's transformation. And just like so many other print industries, certainly people speak today, and certainly my history across my history and my career, from photography and through to large format display, those industries have transitioned to digital. This industry's still got that transition to digital. So the opportunities for businesses out there understand this analog to digital transformation, I think is really important.
We're going to have a few more sessions during the day, of course. One of the things I am very curious about, and we're going to talk about that in a second as well, is that when I think that Kornit has tried to position you in different segments of the industry, as part of the printing industry, as part of the fashion industry, and more you see Kornit as an exhibitor at fashion shows, and that you have like designers coming in and doing designs in one-offs, basically, right?
And that's part of education. We have to become known as a brand in the fashion industry to make those people think different about supply chain. Only 2 weeks ago, I hosted a number of students, final year students in fashion, and educating them on our technologies, and they're now making their final collection for the runway at Graduate Fashion Week.
That's fantastic. We are in the last 2 minutes here before we have a short break, and I just want to ask you one question. And I'm not trying to be provocative, but I have to ask, because I mean, Kornit has in my opinion, you have a very fantastic position in the market. Do you have any competition at all? Everybody has competition.
I think, of course, there are manufacturers as competition, but I think it's positioned in terms of a competition that would offer a brand or retailer a last mile fulfillment of thousands of connected Kornit systems. So a brand could take an order on their route to market in one country and have that fulfilled last mile in their packaging as a one-off. That's unique today. So as a technology, single-step technology, that's unique today. But there's clearly, of the manufacturers in direct-to-garment and direct-to-fabric, I think our vision is what's unique as well.
And I mean, that has also given you a lot of investment dollars, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you look at businesses that have grown significantly. Look at the drive of Amazon and the mentality that drives of on-demand, immediacy, knowing where things are coming from. I think those things are driving a change as well. So that's driving investment.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And let us end this session here. First of all, I think it was great talking to Phil about this. I was just thinking that learning about Kornit is of course great to have these kind of sessions, and all the things that we're talking about today is of course something that I think has like an edge to like new technology, new ways of doing business, new ways of doing things. So just want to thank you very much, Phil, and see you a bit later. The next session is with Chris Showalter from Fiery, but before that we have a short break. And remember to go and visit the Kornit booth during the break.